So I didn't want to make this video. I don't want to become known as one of the watches are investments kind of YouTubers. Ugh. If you follow my channel, you know I'm a watch collector. I absolutely love watches. And I have a few watches that have a pretty good secondary market value. I also have a few watches that do not have a good secondary market value. I just love the watches that I love. I don't collect watches with the assumption that they will accrue value. So I don't want to become the watches and finances girl. But I've seen a few videos floating around giving advice about the state of the watch market and if you should buy secondary watches right now. And the advice being given is probably not what I would say. I'm sitting here watching these videos, listening to the advice that's being given and thinking, this is the exact opposite of what I would be telling people to do. This is the exact opposite of what I'm going to be doing in my life. Do not buy the dip. Don't buy a grey market Rolex right now. And please, don't fall into this sucker's rally.
People will buy the dip.
I want you to understand this because that's a very high number. This watch originally new was under $100,000. So you're talking about a 400% increase.
Right, guys, I really don't want to make this video. But here we go. The watch market is small, concentrated, and the value of wristwatches are largely subjective, which theoretically makes it a very volatile market. Secondary watch prices have been absolutely insane on certain models. Anyone who is into watches will already know certain desirable models like the Patek Philippe Nautilus, the AP Royal Oak, and a handful of coveted Rolex watches have been in a massive speculative asset bubble. Over the past few weeks, as we enter into an economic recession, we have seen a softening or secondary price correction on these previously sky-high prices. And honestly, according to Chrono24, these watches are still trading way over retail. To call it a correction even feels a bit generous. They just aren't trading for their March-April prices. We are currently at the beginning of a global recession. It's the very beginning, so we haven't felt the full wrath of it yet. But in the next 12 months, we are really going to feel the effects of it. We're beginning to feel it here in the UK with the cost of living crisis. But this isn't just a UK thing. The Fed, so the Federal Reserve, and Papa Jerome Powell have come out saying, hey, the stock market has had a pretty crappy 2022. Obviously, we know that, and we've been in a really volatile year. So to get control over the inflation that we're experiencing, the Fed is going to tighten more. We're going into a recession that kind of feels a bit unknown. It's kind of hard to know what to compare these times to, because what got us to this place isn't the same as what we've experienced before. With the cocktail of geopolitical issues coming back from the pandemic, China's zero-tolerance COVID policy, and the cost of living many countries are seeing, the future just feels really uncertain.
It's your energy bill!
Oh my God, thank you.
We're paying your energy bill for 4 months.
And I'm not saying this to fearmonger and create panic, but this is just what many economists are saying and what a lot of the data points to. But of course, none of us has a crystal ball. None of us knows what the future holds. But I am not an economics channel. I am a watch channel. And I'm going to tell you something that makes no sense for me to say as a watch channel. But I truly don't think you should buy the dip in the watch market. And there are 4 big reasons why I wouldn't encourage you to do this. 1, watches are not asset investments and should not be seen as such. 2, this advice only holds water for millionaires, in my opinion. 3, I would never recommend people buy watches over the retail price. And 4, I believe a sucker's rally is on the way. So let's start with number 1. Watches are not assets. So I'm a bit of a hobby economist. It's one of those few things in the world that affects every single person and on a practical level, on a day-to-day level. I'm not a financial advisor or anything. I'm just a watch collector. I have some watches that are worth more on the secondary market, and I have some that aren't. but I don't see my watches as investments. When I think of mine and my husband's stock portfolio, I don't lump my watch value in with that wealth because they are not the same. The secondary watch market is a speculative asset bubble, meaning these watches and their value doesn't align with their price. It's the hype, the speculation that drives these prices up and up and up. It's baseless. These watches aren't worth more than they retail for. Stocks and shares are very different. When people say buy the dip in the investing world, it makes a lot more sense. Although I would always say it's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. But more on that later. Of course, you want to get investment opportunities for rock bottom, but I would never, ever, ever recommend treating watches in this fashion. Buy the watches you love when you can afford them. And if the time comes that you do sell them and they're worth more when you sell them, that's awesome. But it is always a reality that they could be worth less. You never know where the tides are going to blow. Maybe Rolex will fall out of fashion. I don't know. You don't know where the tides are going to blow. Collect what you love. My second point, this buy the dip mentality only really holds true for the ultra wealthy. As I said before, we are going into a recession. If you're a normal, like my husband and I, so you can afford luxury watches, but maybe they're really aspirational for you. If you're gonna get a watch, maybe you have to save up for some time. And when you do buy it, it's kind of like, ooh, you feel it. You can feel it leave the account. If you're like us, please, please do not buy the dip to get a luxury watch a couple $1,000s cheaper. This dip is minuscule. And with the possible tough times we are going into, I would highly recommend staying liquid. That's what we are going to be doing. That's what I'm personally doing. And you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all my fear-mongering amounts to nothing. We go through a really gentle recession. Then worst case scenario, if you save your money, you'll just have a lot of extra money in your savings. That's okay. That's far lower risk than possibly going out and buying a luxury watch that isn't very wise to buy right now. And all this isn't to say don't buy watches right now. I hope that's not how this is coming across. What I'm trying to say is don't view this dip as rock bottom prices from the secondary watch market, because it isn't. Buying a Submariner for like $20,000 isn't the deal of the year. If purchasing this watch is going to really eat into your savings, I'd say now is just not the right time. And of course, this is your decision to make. I'm still going to be buying watches myself, but I'm not going to spend any more than retail. And my general rule, especially when we go through hard times, is if it takes more than 10% of my savings, I'm not buying it. So right now I can afford a £3 watch. Hey guys, Editing Brittany here. I wasn't sure if I wanted to include this detail or not, but I've decided to share. Just after filming this, fancy that timing, I got a call from the AD being offered a Rolex Explorer. I can afford it. I do have kind of the money in the savings account, but I just think it would just take too much out of it right now. And I just didn't find it to be a wise move. I bought a watch in May, that I have to go pick up still, which I'm very excited for. But I think that might be my last watch for quite a while. I can't wait to debut it on the channel as well, but I did say to the AD, don't take my name off the Explorer list. I'm going to save and hopefully I'll be in the position to get it. Maybe just after the summer. Next summer. My third point is, even in the best of times or the worst of times, I would still never recommend spending over retail to purchase a watch. I don't buy watches over retail, so why would I ever advise buy the dip that's still above retail? Unless you're really into vintage, it's just not advice I would personally give. But I think this is really easy for me to say coming from a place where I have an amazing relationship with my AD. And if I want to get my name on a waiting list, it's quite easy to get my name on it, and I know it will come. Maybe not next week. probably in a couple years or a few years' time. But I'm willing to wait for that. And I know, okay, this is just a bone to pick. This could be a stupid thing to say. I know people keep saying that no one gets these watches. But they do. They do. Who keeps telling you that nobody gets these watches? Where are people hearing this from? There are over 9,000 Rolex Daytona listings on Chrono24 right now. And 3,000 of them, 1/3 of them, are from the last 2 years. I know this is a touchier one because not everyone has the same authorized dealer links that I do. But I just wouldn't ever recommend spending over retail. I'm actually about to make a video. We'll see how long it takes where I go into a new AD where I have no links and see how long it takes me to get a Rolex Submariner. So maybe I'll be eating my words very soon. And my fourth point, and this one's purely speculative from me, but I think we might be heading into what we call a sucker's rally. A sucker's rally is a slang term referring to a temporary rise in an asset, or the market as a whole, which continues just long enough to attract investment by naive or unsuspecting buyers. To show you this in action, look at this chart. Riveting stuff, I know. But this is from the Great Depression, so you'll see this line fall and fall, but then there's this sudden spike again. This was the 1930s rally, and this was the biggest suckers rally in history. The 1930s rally took the market back up to 20% below its peak. People were filled with hopium and were investing, believing the market would only go up and up and up. Does this sound familiar, watch collectors? But then, in April 1930, it crashed again, going down 89% from the 1929 high. When it comes to the market, history often repeats itself. Now, as I said before, these are just the markets, and the stock market and the watch market are not the same. But there are some transferable principles here. I remember videos not so long ago telling you to just buy that AP Royal Oak or that Daytona at secondary because it's only going to go up and up and up. People are filled with hopium, thinking the bull market will never end, but it will. I would exercise caution as we maybe see watch prices starting to creep up again. Maybe it won't happen, maybe it will, but you might just be looking at a sucker's rally, and I don't want that for you in your life. But I can't say this enough. I'm just speculating. I am not a financial expert. I don't have a crystal ball and know what's going to happen in a few months' time. I could be wrong, and your hard-earned money is yours to do what you want with it. I know this is kind of a weird video for a watch channel to put out, and I hope it doesn't read as, never buy a watch again, we're going into doom and gloom, you're gonna have no money. Honestly, buy watches. They bring life and joy, they're fantastic. I'm not trying to take away the joy of that. But making expensive luxury purchases in a bull market hits very differently than in a bear market. I know I'm starting to think twice before buying, and I am starting to exercise just a little bit more caution before parting with my money. Before we finish this video, let's just look at another chart. This is the Great Recession of 2008. Shit got bad, if you remember. It was scary times, especially if you stay zoomed in. But then we zoom out. This is what I mean when I say it's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. Things always recover. They always get better again. Perhaps the same is true of the luxury watch value, but I'd never recommend buying watches as financial investments. If you want to buy low and sell high, get into the stock market. If you want great watches, buy what you love. And I would never recommend spending over retail. Anywho, that's all I've got for today. Hopefully this is my last ever watches and finance video, because I don't like making these. I don't want to become this person. And don't forget to feed the YouTube algorithm gods. Give this video a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, hit him with the Patreon song. Hey, music scouts, it's me again. Is this gonna be my big break? Because I need to thank my patron, my Pope tier patron supporters. Thank you so much. Thanks to you, I get to keep making content. Thank you, patrons, supporters. Yeah.